Despite being of the same species, those of them who were born on deeper floors tended to have stronger blessings. Enough so that they attracted the attention of higher beings of Geyser. Eventually, organizations for breeding humans were formed deep within Geyser. This is also the reason Geyserians were able to exist on the deeper floors where humans could not reach. Sunken Sea Tentacle Mother. I see that you know of her. Of course. That's where I'm from. How did humans manage to win the Great War when they couldn't even reach the lower floors, let alone the abyss? Who was it that ended the long war? The King of Geyser? The nobles? A hero of humanity? That's not important. What's important is that Geyserians are a lot more blessed by Geyser than everyone thought. They have the potential to grow greater and greater through survival in its harsh environments. I'm sure the higher beings of Geyser were afraid of that. They probably thought that if they just sat back and watched, they would end up being felled by the humans. That is why the higher beings of Geyser decided to kick out the Geyserians with the excuse of freeing captives in the hopes that they would lose their powers. Their idea was to end the war, so that the humans of the surface could not approach the Geyser's blessing. However, despite the higher beings' wishes, there existed those who turned their backs on humanity and took their place within Geyser. Here, we call them failures. Dungeon babies who have given up on the surface and stayed in Geyser. I get it up to that point. But did they manage to attain this kind of power just by being here for a long time? That's impossible. There must be something else. Why are you telling me that? Aren't black merchants also Geyser's beings? I may be a Geyserian, but I'm still a human. I'm basically an enemy to Geyser. It's a bit different. What do you see me as? A demon. That's right. Humanity's old friend demon. We're technically not Geyser's creatures. It seems like you've done the introduction for us. Well, it's fine. We were going to explain it anyway. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lee Purium. I am the captain of the mercenary group known as the Failures. These are Hyojin and Eugene. You look like captain. You're not a beast pretending to be captain, are you? Eugene, Hyojin, that's rude, there are supports. This is Jungwon and Suyang. I would have been suspicious if their voices were similar too. There are main damage dealers as well as our scouts. We've just proven our skills, so whatever you're worried about happening during this mission won't happen. You're being rude. I'm just looking. You really are humans. Is it true that you've given up on making it to the surface? Yes. Why? I'm sure you remember how the atmosphere in Geyser was when the captives were being freed after the end of the Great War. That's strange. Captain is more handsome. You're insane. It was a series of nightmares impossible to forget. Well, it's fine. Memory loss is common in Geyser, after all. I'll tell you. Back then, Geyser held a celebration. The so-called Harvest Festival. Tens of thousands of humans were freed at once. What are they to other beings of Geyser? Nothing more than a delicacy. Our fellow people were being devoured as soon as they were freed from the labyrinths. At that time, we could not understand the situation since we had lived our entire lives in Geyser. We can return home if we just get through here. Just what was the surface that those people were willing to risk their lives for despite having witnessed the pitiful death of others? Does the surface even exist? Open ceiling. Blue sky. Floating clouds. Burning sun. Countless stars. Planes swaying in the wind. Endless ocean. Even if all of that was real, was it really worth gambling my one and only life for? Did we face a failure during the journey leading to the paradise of the surface? No, we failed to even begin. We gave up, in order to survive. If death is the price to pay for a dream based on a paradise that might not even exist, let's just run away to the very ends of Geyser where hope will not reach us. We will replace the warm sun, fresh air, and human laughter, with the shadows, dust, and horrible screams. We shall survive within the darkness, as there is no paradise for us. We denied the existence of the surface. We went back to the labyrinth owner who freed us and begged him to take us back. He mistook our request for loyalty and took us back in. That's how we began working as soldiers instead of as captives. At least until the labyrinth fell. The labyrinth fell. I'll make it short. The labyrinth owner was killed during war, and we just succeeded in running away. It was really dangerous. I don't even remember that. I was unconscious. The story from this point on is important to understand, how we reached the blessing of Geyser. But I am a bit hesitant to tell it to you despite the client's request. After all, it's the fruit of our entire life's work. Even if you are the first fellow human we've met after our release, are you still in denial? About the surface. I was born on the 12th floor, which is even deeper than here, and I managed to reach the surface. The very surface, that you guys are denying. Tell me, the surface. What kind of place is it? Is it true that the air is warm? I heard that water falls from the sky sometimes. No, I heard it was ice. Open ceiling. Blue sky. Floating clouds. Burning sun. Countless stars. Plane swaying in the wind. Endless ocean. Destination, surface base. 50 meters to the east. Portal. You are not failures. You are just a bit late. Look. The entire world is bright. The ceiling's blue too. I don't cough when I breathe in deep either. I never thought the air could be this clear. It's strange, right? I don't taste it, but it feels tasty somehow. Why don't you come out too? I would like to, but I can't leave my workplace. I'm sorry for the setback in the plan. It's okay. The plans are always set with the expectation that we will take a long time because of the importance of staying hidden. I heard that our kind keeps coming down to Geyser from the surface, so I did somewhat believe that the surface existed. I didn't expect it to look like this though. I thought it'd be barely better than Geyser. This is a great experience. Thank you. I was just being a bit nosy because it seemed like you were unsure about the existence of the surface. Plus, you would have reached the surface long ago if you wanted to, considering your skill level. I was a bit unsure, yes. The blessing of Geyser refers to mana. Mana? Yes, it's something all beings born in Geyser possess, including Geyserians. The deeper you go down, the more concentrated it is. Through evolution, the beasts of Geyser have adapted to the amounts of mana in their habitats. It's just a hypothesis, but I believe that since Geyserians didn't have the time to evolve, we ended up taking in the mana around us instead. Then are Geyserians born in the same area equally strong? You must be referring to the sunken sea where Mother is, but it's not the case. Mana isn't complete as soon as you are born. It grows in you as you adjust to the surrounding environment. We only stay with Mother in our earliest stages of life. It is true that the mana formed inside us during that short period of time, is what creates the power gap between a lower floor and an abyss Geyserian. However, all it gives us is physical reinforcement. It's not very efficient either. All other beings of Geyser are born knowing how to use mana. It's like breathing to them. That is why I believe that your labyrinth subordinates think that you probably don't know how to use mana. However, we'll teach you, how to use the blessing of geyser. You'll become stronger, to the extent that it'll make a world of difference. Why are they fighting all of a sudden? Wouldn't it be better to use this open space for gathering beasts? Idiot. There aren't any beasts in paradise. For gathering people of our kind then? That won't happen either. He said it's his private property. What does that mean? I don't know either. Must we do this? You were the one who said you're stronger than me. I assume the blessing of geyser, mana, or whatever you call it is used for spells. I can't believe your claims until I see it for myself. Ha, alright. I guess this is necessary. You'll need to fight with all you've got though. That's up to me to decide. After all, I don't want to kill my future mentor. It's not that hard to detect mana that's being dispersed because it has nowhere to go. What you can see scattering around you is the mana. An upper floor geyserian wouldn't even have that. It gets thicker the lower you go. And starting from the abyss. Ha, so that's the power of the 12th floor. Amazing. It's better than I anticipated. Do you still think that doesn't change anything though? You cannot win against me. Simply possessing mana does reinforce your physique, but the effects are minimal. If you learn how to focus the mana inside your body, you'll get better strength, endurance, and agility. Your thinking ability will also improve, allowing you to quickly analyze your opponent's attacks. And what if you go further, and learn to imbue your weapon with mana? Then even a shabby iron pickaxe will be able to block an adamantium sword. Even though many of my attacks didn't do damage to labyrinth owners, I was at least able to hit them. Despite that, I can't reach this guy at all. What's even more crazy, is that he hasn't moved a single step, and hasn't used his second arm. It seems like I've underestimated you. I've never fought such a strong human before. It's time to go all out. Ha! During the mana training, I won't allow the use of parasites. What was that just now? What's so surprising? Or did you think that a parasite was a privilege only you had? They are an endangered species, but they still exist in Geyser. It's not a strange thing to come across one. This fight is needed to evaluate your strength as a Geyserian, not the strength of your parasite. I am no match for him even with the 12th floor's power, the parasite, and the labyrinth's physical reinforcement effects. You're strong. Wrong. Wrong. You still don't get it, huh? What? Don't you feel something? Despite the countless battles on the 9th floor, and all the near-death situations, I've never felt something like this before. No matter who the opponent was, if I kept at it, I somehow managed to find a way to defeat them. I didn't feel like this even when I was up against Anatolius. No. I just wasn't strong enough to figure it out. It's not that you're strong. It's that I'm weak. Knowing yourself is as important as knowing your opponent. It's directly related to your possibility of survival. It's necessary if you want to improve too. Life in Geyser isn't like the heroic stories. You can't win everything with just determination. The eternally unchanging law that rules over Geyser, no, over this entire world, is survival of the fittest. The law of the jungle. We've evolved through adjustment and research. The strength of our skin and bones, the flexibility and density of our muscles, a digestive system that will allow us to eat rocks if need be. And that is all thanks to the blessing of Geyser, in other words, mana, right? Correct. You're basically above the human race. I guess I have no choice but to admit my loss. It seems my ego has gotten a bit inflated from everyone calling me the undefeated commander. I'll ask again then. Please. Teach me how to use the blessing of Geyser. I have a lot of things to protect. I need to become stronger. You will be my second master. I was going to teach you anyway. Don't be so polite all of a sudden. It creeps me out. Ah. I wanted to stay up there longer. Paradise is nice, but you shouldn't forget that we're working right now. Demon, I will ask again. Like I said before, the training of the Baron is included in the plan this time. Thanks to that, the time period has been extended to 3 weeks instead of the usual 2. So we have an extra week. The difference between us is so immense. A week feels too short. Don't worry. It's not like I'm teaching you martial arts. We're trying to change your constitution, so if you're good, you'll be able to circulate mana by the end of today. Circulate mana. Take off your top and sit comfortably on the floor. We'll have you learn the feeling of mana before we leave. Why should I take off my clothes? It's necessary. What is the thing all beings of Geyser other than Geyserians possess in their bodies? Down gems. What do you think is the reason those heavy stones are embedded in their bodies? I assume it's related to mana given the context of our conversation. That's right. Down gems are like hearts. Instead of blood, there is mana. It also works as a storage. The deeper you go into Geyser, the more down gems you will find because of the abundance of mana. And the stronger the beast, the higher the down gem quality. Then do you also, of course. It's a bit below my heart, if I were to put a value on it, I'd assume it's about mid-high rank. Wow. You just have a stone in your body. We have an insect crawling inside us. What's so bad about a stone? You'll get one too anyway. Wait, you mean? You're not gonna make me explode or anything, right? That's rude to say. Yujin's ability allows her to manipulate the cells of a target's body. From a distance, she can only do simple tasks like division of cells. But if she's directly touching the target, she can heal injuries, see the progression of a disease, as well as manipulate the mana accumulated in the body. Then I'll begin. What? Horizon. Ocean. Is this all? There's no way. Ugh. The mana collected inside you will force through a path. It will first go through the heart and very slowly move through the arteries. Once you get used to it, the mana will go to every small vein and vessel, until you learn to feel it inside of you and circulate it willingly. Concentrate. Noise-canceling barrier. Silent bubble. Mana is so silent and passive in its resting state that you can't even tell it's there. However, as soon as you activate it, it begins to influence its surroundings. Thanks to Eugene, it won't take on any dangerous forms, but his mana paths have never been opened before. The fierce pain of mana moving through the body for the first time is, oh. I do feel something flowing in my body. It feels rather strange, it's kind of familiar, but not in a good way. Unbelievable. Eugene. Captain, his mana paths are mostly already open. Plus, there are traces of a down gem being there before. His magic channels are mostly open, you know. What? That can't be, there wasn't even a sign of magical power operation, let alone an ability. Is there a problem? Well, it's not exactly a problem, but it's definitely an unexpected situation. Do you have an ability? I'm not sure if it can be called an ability. But I can identify the weak points of a target based on my attack power. Thanks to a parasite, I can even see through to the weak organs inside a creature. Can you use it now? It's not really something I use, it activates automatically when there's a glow in my eyes. So, you were using it during the duel earlier. Of course, it was active, it's a skill that works regardless of my intentions. There wasn't a speck in your eyes during the fight, not an ability. How much do you know about abilities? Special powers that some of the underground people possess. The detection type abilities are the most common, with about a 10% possession rate. No cases of abilities manifesting after escaping to the surface have been confirmed, so it's probably congenital, no. Abilities can manifest later in life due to the environment. The magic practiced by the underground people using magical power is exactly an ability. What? Those who were thrown out as bait and had to hide were the ones who developed detection abilities. Those thrown into the front lines or treated as guinea pigs developed defensive abilities. There are even cases where abilities similar to foreseeing the future manifested for those who read the enemy's movements and evaded them with all their might to reach paradise. Most manifested when pushed to the brink of death. Wait, are you saying abilities are the grace of the underground people? Then does every ability user manipulate magical power? Having an ability didn't necessarily make anyone stronger. You're half wrong. Most ability manifestors don't know the origin of their powers. They just keep using it, not forgetting the sensation of the first activation, so they have no idea about investing magical power into physical enhancement. However, using an ability, knowingly or unknowingly, involves manipulating magical power. So, it's true that creating shields and training in magical power becomes easier. Then what about my weakness detection? Abilities typically cause stains in the eyes when used. Moreover, it's not always active during combat. Abilities are magic that must be used consciously. Weakness detection is likely just a natural combat sense. The vision of weaknesses is just support from the parasite. So, weakness detection is not helping now, you're saying. Don't worry. Opening a magic circuit is just basic construction. Since it's already open, just rotating your magic power with Eugen's ability, that's impossible. All I can do is throw a pebble into a small stream to create ripples, throwing a pebble into the vast ocean won't cause a tidal wave. Eugene, put it simply, his level is too high for my ability to interfere. Even if I did interfere, the impact would be so minor it'd be unnoticeable. Now we're really in trouble. No, what I mean is, let me summarize simply. The plan was to cultivate non-existent magic circuits and push your mana using Eugen's ability so it flows naturally. But for some reason, the magic circuits are already open, and the mana inside you is too dense and thick for Eugen's power to even make it budge. If Eugene can't interfere, you need to recall the sensation from when your magic was awakened yourself. How am I supposed to do that if I've never used it? You can't. Saying your magic circuits are open means you've already experienced awakening through magic. You have used magic yourself before. Don't you remember anything? Any extreme situation where you exhibited superhuman strength? It couldn't have been after becoming the master of the labyrinth, and nothing before that either. Being pushed around as a digger in the underground and then escaping to the surface is all. Memory of the escape. Did you have companions? Of course, I did, but I was the only one who reached the surface. I didn't check on all my companions because I lost consciousness along the way. When I came to, I was already walking up to the surface on my own. But, how? Losing your companions is all you remember. It seems the entire process of escaping from the 12th floor to the first has been erased. You must have awakened then. This is problematic. With no memory of it, we can't just go down to the 12th floor to retrieve lost memories. Let's use this guy. Are you talking about a porter? Though treated as a mere object and pushed around, it's a proper underground beast. Specialized in recording information and transmitting commands like a control tower, but it also possesses its own means of defense. If it's a beast of the illusion type, they all have the usual trauma playback. With my support added, we can explore your past in more detail. I'll hypnotize the Baron to walk through his past. Going through everything, memories of the awakening might resurface. Of course, we need the Baron's permission. Considering it's the life of an underground person, most memories will be painful. Are you sure? If it means becoming stronger, who would be foolish enough to run away from their past out of fear? It's decided then. Let's get ready. The Baron, perhaps due to his vast mana, has considerable resistance to mental attacks. Even enough to resist the mental attacks of the maze's master. You'll need to relax completely and accept it yourself for the hypnosis to begin. Don't worry about beast attacks, we'll protect you. Ah! My bubble is popping so easily. Let's start. My past, reviewing it, huh? To think it means going back to the very first memory of my life. The human farm of mother. The sunken sea. My homeland. What could a newborn baby know? Crying out loud for a guardian is what a baby does. The first step in early education to become a perfect slave is to kill the instinct. A crying child is a bad child. Being bad doesn't necessarily mean punishment because inflicting pain only makes them cry louder. A bad child is simply weeded out. Until only silence remains. All day, I just stare blankly at the swaying ceiling, endlessly repeating the act of being fed by some unknown creature. The excrement is consumed by this red cradle. Whether each cradle is a life form or the pillars they're attached to are the life forms. To children whose selves are not even fully formed, what does it matter? Occasionally, they blankly watch other children being eaten in front of them. By this point, the children become accustomed to death. When the cradles ripen to green and the children can crawl, the pillar moves downward. A newly descended red cradle opens its mouth as the cries of newborn children echo. This too shall pass in a moment and become quiet. Nothing changes. The cradle that has moved down a floor spits out the children like rotten fruit falling. Thanks to the soft floor, surprisingly, there are few deaths. What stands before the crawling children is not a twisted guardian but beasts that awkwardly mimic humans. These creatures start imitating the role of a caretaker from being predators that devour. Mom. Dad. Mama. Papa. As the children start to pay attention to the bizarre noises made by these creatures. And touch the tools scattered around them. The creatures respond with different noises. They are trying to teach speech. It's probably all marine beasts. How do they make such noises? Feeding on the flesh and milk spat out by the pillars occasionally, the children grow once more enduring the creatures' incessant noise. This is perhaps the safest and most comfortable point in their life as a resource. When the children can stand on two legs and lift the equipment that has fallen to the ground, they move down another floor through the pillar. This must be when the enhancement of the body through magic begins. For a newborn to swing a pickaxe heavy even for an adult man makes no sense. The first floor where they are pruned as they grow. The second floor where they learn speech and basic knowledge. The last floor where they actually learn labor before shipment. It's the floor where mother resides. The last floor is simple. Digging the earth eternally until graded by mother. High-quality ones go to the noble aristocrats, low-quality to the barons, and the rejects become food. A whale that swallowed a portal, there's no way back. Perhaps being eaten was a stroke of luck. To be honest, I enjoyed the labor. Doing nothing, just blankly letting time pass for months. Holding a pickaxe and striking a rock, it splits and crumbles. Some spots don't even scratch, and others shatter completely. I persistently sought out the points that would break easily and struck them. Perhaps this was the beginning of learning how to spot weaknesses. Good child. I was soon graded as high quality and shipped out. To the 12th basement of the Spider Duke's labyrinth. To where my friends are. Sigh, is this all we've gathered for today's investigation? Quite a dedication. Journalist, you seem thrilled with scoops from every direction, huh? Anyone would think you could walk out of here alive. Why bother writing anything if we're all going to die anyway? Ah, being so negative about everything isn't going to help, young man. Negative my ass, doing slave work and about to be eaten, and you want me to laugh? Are you insane? No, you think you've lived enough. Sergeant Lee Ji-suk. It's hard to listen to you. Ah, Lieutenant Colonel Jang, a fresh soldier speaking back so sharply seems to really bother you, doesn't it? Sergeant. Don't call me Sergeant. My discharge date has passed. Stuck in this goddamn land, huh? It's been over a goddamn month since my discharge date. Lieutenant Colonel, what with that goddamn defense industry corruption, that K-11 what? The hybrid rifle? The goddamn thing that explodes bullets in the barrel. Alright. Let's stop there, everyone. It's almost roll call time, the spiders will hear you. Lieutenant Colonel Jang, Ji-suk is also dragged here in his final year, now a prisoner of war, how distressed he must be. Given the situation, let's try to be more understanding. I understand Ji-suk is going through a tough time, but we're all in the same situation, so I wish you could bear with it a little. God damn it, really, this is really goddamn awful, why me? Ah, my mother will worry, god damn it. 8,515th, Group. Formation, Personnel Report, without exception, 7 people. 8,515th, Save Us, Group, total, should be 8, missing, 1, gone. Explain, kill. I reported to the site supervising Spider that 1 was buried during the last operation. Total, 7, kill, fire, confirm, order, kill, fire, fire. Cough. Gurgle. Ah. No. Stop. Please, save me. Please. I'll give you anything, please. Gurgle. Cough. Cough. Total 7, confirmed. Tomorrow's schedule remains unchanged, proceed with the tunneling in the set direction, constructing the attack route. I know. Do you come here just to repeat the same damn thing every day? Counting heads must be the real goal, calm down. Counting heads my ass. Even those damn spiders know there's no way out of this labyrinth. A month's worth of food, and new family, teach the work, include in the labor. This child seems to be born under the ground. They called him an underdweller, I think. Hello, beloved readers of Dungeon Odyssey. This is Sun Minwo, the one in charge of art and adaptation. I feel bad to be coming to you with heavy news after not showing up even after the end of Season 1. Chapters 82 and 83 will touch on the behind the scenes of the series. I apologize to the readers who were looking forward to reading the actual story progression. I was told it's not really something to apologize for, but I feel like the timing for these episodes is a bit off. I'm aware that the story progression has been slow lately because I had to squeeze in some newly added plot points. If you allow me, I'd like to give some excuses as to why this happened. There was a debut project I had somewhat finished in the past. I said I wanted to do a traditional fantasy, draw this. Alright. Naturally, action, fantasy, adaptation, and so on were all new challenges for me. It took me half an hour to draw a cool sword-swinging scene. I should have studied more. The genre of my debut project was drama, after all. After finishing the first chapter and while working on the second and third, I had a sudden thought. This is bad, it's boring. I don't mean to say that the novel is boring. In fact, it's really fun. But it doesn't feel like a webtoon if the character simply stands still and explains the lore. That's just a novel with more drawings than usual. A novel and a webtoon should be fundamentally different, their only similarity being that they tell an enjoyable story. At this point, I had been waiting for the publisher to get back to me regarding the adaptation author. Why, aren't they getting me know about the adaptation author? I definitely applied as the artist for this series, do I actually have to do both? For real. I've never done an adaptation before. Should I just do it? The first battle is against the horned rats, so nothing really big happens. They're just sacrificed for the sake of explaining the labyrinth system, but a webtoon needs to have more visuals. Actually, how do these weak monsters even survive on the 9th floor? That was how the horned rat arc came to be. I felt a lot of pressure because I didn't know how much I could adapt the novel and twist things. I was afraid that it might be rude to the original author too. Despite my worries, the production director was very satisfied with the storyboard. Oh, this is good. Oh, so this much of a change isn't a problem, huh? How much can I twist until the readers get angry then? That's when I started gaining more confidence. So, after the horned rat arc, I began changing the novel more to my taste. Oh. I think this one is pretty unique. A narration through notes. I've never seen that in webtoons before. It was worth staying up. Please look over this. This chapter is a bit, like you tried something new and challenging. It began as a flashback of the protagonist, but it's suddenly in the side character's perspective. Why don't you bring it back to the protagonist's point of view? It took me 3 days, and you want me to do it all over again? Redo it. I've been squeezing this narrative out of my brain for over a few days, and now it's all gone. This is fine. Completely fine. Can I even finish it before the deadline if I do it all over again? I only have one saved manuscript left. Saved manuscripts. These are like the remaining lives of a webtoon artist. They are completed chapters that haven't been uploaded yet. Usually, we start with 3 to 5 saved manuscripts. I began with 4. But now I have just 1.2 lives remaining. It's only been 20 chapters since I began the second season. If I use a life right now, I'll have less than 1 left. Then, if a situation like this happens again, I'll have to go on hiatus. So, as an excuse, I'll tell you about my work process in detail. I wake up, watch YouTube for a bit, order food, and when the delivery driver is nearby, I crawl out of bed. When you pull all-nighters to meet the deadline, you end up messing up your circadian rhythm anyway. Shut up, the world revolves around me. The morning is when I open my eyes, and the night is when I go to sleep. I am the sun and the moon. I devour my breakfast at my desk and begin typing out my rough draft. Vitamin D3 supplement to replace exposure to sunlight. Pepsi Zero Lime with their labels ripped off. Snacks to munch on while hungry. Once I'm done with the rough draft, I sleep a bit and begin working on the final version. It takes about 3 days if I do it leisurely. As you know, I don't have the luxury of doing it leisurely. Normally, at this point, I'd be struggling to get it done within 2 days, shortening my sleep time and trying to meet the deadline. There are readers that praise me for drawing all the backgrounds myself instead of making them in 3D. But there are simply no sources that I can use for Geyser. I want to just use the damn 3D models too. Why aren't there any dungeons or caves in the program? The production director suggested taking more assistants, but the problem is that my art style is rather unique. Oh. Then why don't we get an adaptation author? Making more battle scenes, adjusting power balance, adding a teacher, extra character development, new dangerous situations, and more lore for the protagonist. Once all the drawing is done, the assistant gets the files to work on the undertones of colors and shading. Thanks for your hard work. They always have to readjust their schedule once every 2 weeks because of the rough draft delay. Once the files from the assistant arrive, I'm free. I work on the dialogues, speech bubbles, final coloring, and all the other little details over 6 days. Since you turned this one late, you better get to work on the next rough draft right away. This job requires you to work despite migraines or other random conditions. Here's what I wrote. What do you think? The readers might think that you're finishing the season. Let's save this for the end of the second season. I didn't even get to introduce myself at the end of the first season. Shouldn't I do this at least now? If you think it's too long, why don't we just make it a pre-hiatus chapter? Just kidding. What if no one asks anything by the end of the season? I'll answer whatever questions there are though. Check the comments for more detailed information. Please keep loving our series. It was half forced, but I began working as a war correspondent. There was no need to yell at me in front of everyone though. Anyway, boss began treating me like some noble, once I said I'd go to Geyser. How funny. Is it because Geyser is dangerous? Documentary teams go down there to make hours-long projects. Boss told me to start writing a diary just in case too. I'm not gonna die though. We're going down tomorrow. We're going to join the station troops at the entrance to the 3rd floor where the military has fully taken over. I haven't fully digested the fact that we're going to the war zone. Apparently, only 30% of the equipment makes it back from Geyser or whatever. It's been 2 days since we made it to the 1st floor of Geyser. I was added to the 30th Armored Brigade, and we entered Geyser through the Payu Gate. There are quite a few research facilities set up on the roads. I've even seen a chameleon as big as an entire house. It's honestly kind of fun. It's like an otherworld safari tour. There are horned rats, so why aren't there horned horses? We've made it to the entrance to the 2nd floor and have gotten down. We haven't been able to reach the base at the entrance to the 3rd floor since yesterday. The soldiers we're accompanying are not as happy anymore. The atmosphere is tense. I've noticed a lot of bloodstains on the ground. I asked why they didn't remove those, and they said that a bit of anxiety helps and that there's no point in removing them because new ones will appear anyway. They should just be honest and say they're trying to save money. I was in the military too. That's how they are. It's been 2 years since we had a military parade to celebrate the conquest of the 1st and 2nd floors. What's the point in trying to scare us? Are they just trying to help me with the interview? Anyway, I was just told that the bloodstain we passed by just now was from the last reporters they had. Your sense of humor, isn't it, Commander? The ceiling must have collapsed or something. There were giant boulders blocking the road, making transportation by armored vehicles impossible. It must also be why we couldn't contact the third floor anymore. We need a drilling jumbo to make way, but apparently, it'll come in a week at the earliest. It would have taken us just 2 more hours to get to the third floor, but now we're stuck. It's loud in the commander's vehicle. They're arguing over whether we should walk or return to the second floor's entrance. Can't we just take a different route? After all, we've taken over the second floor, haven't we? We split up. One group is going to repair the communication lines and head to the third floor, while the rest are going to return to the second floor's entrance to wait for equipment. Apparently, it'll take us a whole day to get there by foot. The camera crew with all the equipment looks upset. Stealthily walking along unpaved roads in a quiet and dark cave makes it feel like we're on a special mission. It's kind of exciting, actually. The contact with the third floor is still cut despite repairing the lines. I guess we'll have to keep our eyes on the ground to look for breaks in the wire. We'll be there in an hour. I want to rest. Apparently, there's something at the third floor's entrance. People are on standby. Regular firearms aren't doing any damage, so they're putting together something else. I'm still alive. I've been separated from the camera crew. I'm with 2 soldiers. Still no contact with the third floor. The other soldiers were just crushed in front of my eyes. I want to throw up, but they're telling me not to because the smell might attract the monsters. Writing this with the light from my digital watch because they told me not to turn on any lanterns. They're saying we should rush to the third floor since the monsters are distracted. I'm alone. The soldier at the third floor's entrance pushed me away to keep me alive. I can't see anything. I think the signalman is dead. I'm hearing screams behind me. The soldier that saved me is shooting at the monster's mouth. I saw muzzle flashes. I don't even know where I'm supposed to go. I just rejoined the soldier that saved me. He has a bullet fragment in his face. We need to hurry to the third floor's base. Where are all the soldiers? The third floor is full of monsters too. We should have known that since there was one at the entrance already. They were all bullshitting when they said they took over half the third floor. Currently using the camcorder's night mode to see. The base is about 300 meters from here, but there are monsters there too. The problem wasn't in the wires, it was that everyone's dead. The soldier that saved me has a really dirty mouth. Makes sense given the situation. I don't usually curse myself though. There is no food, and the soldier's bleeding won't stop. We'll have to go to the base. We're worried about the smell of blood. Father, Mother, I love you. Still alive. Currently in the sea hall of the third floor's base. We did first aid, and now we're resting. We managed to get here easily thanks to the walkie-talkie's messages going through to the A-hall where the antenna is. I only have blunt injuries from when I fell. Jiziak stopped his bleeding and took paracetamol. He told me that he had 2 weeks until discharge. Apparently, he came here on this mission because the army told him they wouldn't ever contact him again if he helped with this. I get that this is a shitty situation for him, but it'd be really nice if he could tone down the cursing. I'm already in a bad enough mood because of all the monsters, but he really needs to calm down. Thankfully, there was a storeroom on the first floor here, so we farmed some food. We're currently hiding in the vents above the medical living quarters on the second floor. Apparently, the army's gonna come here to recapture the third floor's entrance, but it'll take them 5 days to get the drilling jumbo to those boulders and 10 days to actually destroy them. Basically, we need to endure 2 weeks here. The army rations taste like shit. I'm picking out the ones that smell the least. Although it's better than dying, staying in an enclosed space all the time is really tiring. We've been going down from the vents sometimes to stretch out. There are still monsters outside. Heh, they're growing on me. That one's Dumply from now on. I guess I'm not that nervous anymore. We took turns going down to poop. Got a fat one. It's gotta be bigger than Dumply's finger, lol. Put the poops in 10 layers of bags just to make sure the smell doesn't reach the monsters. Jizzy's blood wasn't detected by them, so it should be fine. I think monsters got into the sea hall. They must have smelled the poop. We should have thrown the damn bags into D hall. One of them loitered around the sea hall all day and left. It's quiet now. We're gonna hide out for 2 more days just in case. The drilling jumbo should be working on the boulder already. What's Dumply? They both have their limbs. One is injured, but it's not too bad. I think they can both be considered finished goods. Oh. You got 2 good ones, huh? I'm so proud of you. What? You want to digest them? Ha ha ha. You silly thing. You're not allowed to digest finished goods. Should we send them off to the auction? What about their sex? Any other remarks? They're both male without any special traits. Then just send them away. Let's see. Spider Duke put in a bunch of orders for adult males, right? I'm still alive. They took away things like watches and phones. I still have my notebook. I don't know how much time has passed. It feels like about 2 months. Since the sun doesn't rise, it feels like I'm blind. Hey, you, pretend to work at least. If you don't want to end up like them. I don't even know where here is or what floor this is. There are buildings as big as spiders around. These monsters could scratch through the wall in one go, yet they dig all day. I've never seen anything like this underworld in any media on the surface. It must be part of the unexplored underworld kingdom of humanity. Humanity is mistaken. They think they are winning the war. They think they are driving the monsters far from the surface. It's trivial. Humanity is no threat to them, nor do they view us as a threat. Whether it's spiders or wild beasts, if even one of them decides to go to the surface. I must warn everyone before these creatures take an interest in the surface. Group 8052, consisting of 8 members. Kim Jin-woo, 4, War Correspondent. Further details omitted. 2, Lee Ji-suk, Army Sergeant. Further details omitted. Jang Ki-soo, Special Forces Major. Commanding the attack on the 3rd floor of Yoja Gate, captured. His unit was annihilated. 4, Park Hyung-tae, Boy Group Idol. Inserted into Yoja Gate's 2nd floor for marketing purposes, captured. All group members deceased. Jong Tae-soo, Baker. Caught in a beast overflow incident at Chunchin Gate. 6, Oh Hyun-ael, Chef. Caught in a beast overflow incident at Chunchin Gate. Lee Ji-woong, Technician. Captured during maintenance at Chunchin Gate. 8, Yoon Hyun-jae, Technician. Captured while drilling with a jumbo drill on the 2nd floor of Payu Gate. All reported seeing the Red Devil after being captured. During work, they mined a glowing dawn gem. I've only seen it on the news. Having it gave me a sense of stability, so I treasured it. But during roll call, a spider creature took it. They say dawn gem is a valuable commodity and should be submitted at roll call. Do these monsters even use money? As a special meal, we were given some kind of overcooked meat from an unknown source, which we shared among our group members. It was pretty stale, but better than chewing cave moss as usual. Mined more dawn gems. 5 the size of fingers, 1 the size of a fist. There might be a vein nearby. Returned 2 small ones and hid the rest. Got cooked meat again as a reward. This batch was actually edible. It's harder the more you get used to it. The flavor varies, so they seem to use different types of meat each time. It's just a guess, but it doesn't seem like human flesh. The chunks were quite large, probably. There was an attack by a wild beast during work. Most of the prisoners from the adjacent barracks were killed. Everyone in our group survived. The supervising spider was right behind us. Nearly revealed it. The spider does not use its web, instead, it fights hand to hand. The real shock was something else. I saw it tear apart a wild beast and extract a dawn gem from its abdomen. Why is a dawn gem inside it? Perhaps this is the reason for the strange evolution of the underground monsters. Maybe the power of the dawn gem is the secret. Perhaps we too. I tried swallowing one of the small dawn gems during rest time. My body rejected it instantly, causing me to vomit and lose consciousness with convulsions for several minutes. Because of this, the others in my barracks discovered one of the dawn gems I had hoarded. It seems it's not poisonous given the lack of after effects. What was I thinking trying to eat a dawn gem? It's not like it gets you food when you're hungry. I might be mistaken, but it felt like it was causing some changes in my body. Should I embed it in my flesh like the beasts? Haha, perhaps I was mad for a moment, more research seems necessary. When I swallowed it, it had no taste, but after throwing up, there was a lingering soda-like flavor in my mouth. Let's forget about embedding dawn gems in flesh. Without a way to treat wounds and the risk of infection leading to being discarded as broken, it's too risky. Maybe I'll save it as a last resort. I ground up a small dawn gem and tried dabbing a bit to taste. It seems to intensify emotions and decrease control. I clenched my fist, and my nails dug into my flesh, drawing blood. It took me a while to notice. It seems to have restorative and invigorating effects. I feel good. I really feel good. I almost ran at the guard spider this evening. If I hadn't regained my senses midway, I wouldn't be here anymore. I couldn't beat them like this. My eyes and nose blood vessels burst. My hand was injured, and my whole body ached with muscle pain. I endured the pain and kept swinging the pickaxe, fearing being discarded if they found out I was hurt. Every muscle in my body screamed. This confirms that dawn gem is the source of the creature's power. If I rested because of the pain, I'd be disposed of. Still, it also affects us humans. But embedding it in flesh should be avoided. The body might adapt or might detonate explosively and end up dying. More data is needed. Maybe other people. I mixed a small amount of dawn gem powder into Hyunsei's meal at breakfast. I added just a little more than I ingested, about 4 times his dose. He'll suffer from muscle pain, but it won't kill him, should be fine.